71% of the Earth's surface is covered by oceans. They are not only vast and boundless, but also unimaginably deep. Beneath that shimmering surface lies a world teeming with life, where every living creature plays an important role in a grand symphony of survival. But when we talk about the ocean, 90% of it quietly hides beyond the reach of human eyes. Before we officially begin our exploration, go ahead and drop a small goal of yours in the comments. Who knows, it might just come true. The next part will contain a lot of information, so listen carefully and then just drift off peacefully to sleep. In the great depths of the ocean is a completely different world. This is the deep sea. A silent, vast and pitch-black realm, yet filled with unimaginable wonders, floating slowly in the invisible darkness. In the upper layers of the deep sea, there is a region called the twilight zone. Here, sunlight still has a faint influence and governs certain ecological processes. This zone stretches from about 200 meters down to around 1,000 meters. But the average depth of the ocean is nearly 4 times that, and the deepest point even exceeds 11,000 meters. So the twilight zone is only a very thin layer within the entire ocean. Further down lies a much broader region known as the midnight zone, or deep sea zone, which extends to a depth of about 4,000 meters. The direct effects of sunlight, tides, and surface waves have almost completely disappeared here. It is an environment that barely changes, remaining nearly the same for millions of years. Below that is the abyssal zone. The seafloor here is made up of vast plains of sediment, called abyssal plains. Most of the life here consists of species that live buried in the mud. In a few rare places around the globe, the movement of tectonic plates creates even deeper chasms known as ocean trenches, the Haddle Zone. The difficulty of exploring these regions increases with depth, but that has not stopped our urge to explore. We truly have made some progress, even though countless mysteries still await discovery. Since the late 20th century, manned submersibles and remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, have allowed us to venture deeper into the world of the deep sea. Take the ROV Sebastian, for example, operated by the Schmidt Ocean Institute. It's about the size of a small car and can work at depths of up to 4,500 meters, covering nearly the entire deep mid-water zone. Connected to a surface ship by a cable, Sebastian works along the seafloor and is controlled remotely by operators on deck. Sebastian lights up the darkness of the deep sea, giving us a glimpse into the world hidden beneath the waves. As the ROV gradually descends into the deep mid-water zone, we begin to encounter forms of life never seen in shallower waters. Some are so tiny they're nearly invisible to the naked eye, while others are truly gigantic. This is a realm of absolute darkness, where not a single ray of sunlight can reach. Because it is so far from the upper layers where plankton thrive, the foundational energy source for the food chain is limited, so the number of organisms here is relatively low. To survive in this cold, pitch-black world, life must endure temperatures below 4 degrees Celsius and enormous water pressure, from about 100 atmospheres in the upper part and as much as 400 atmospheres at the deepest part. In such an environment, creatures must evolve extreme physical and physiological adaptations to avoid predators, find food, and reproduce successfully. As a result, some truly remarkable survival strategies have appeared here. For example, Certain deep-sea cod have soft, flexible bodies that can withstand pressures great enough to crush ordinary organisms. Their metabolic rate is extremely slow, as if time itself has been stretched out here. Only patience and slowness allow them to live long lives. The Greenland shark, a member of the sleeper shark family, lives at depths of around 2,200 meters in the Arctic Ocean. It can live for centuries, grow longer than a great white shark, and even reach lengths of up to 7 meters. Like many deep-sea creatures, it shows deep-sea gigantism. Animals that live in the deep tend to grow larger than their relatives in shallower waters. But in an environment where food is so scarce, being a large predator seems counterintuitive. To save energy, their hunting strategies have changed. They adopt an ambush style, remaining still and using the darkness as their camouflage. For instance, some comb jellies spread out their tentacles like a ghostly death net. Their tentacles don't have stinging cells, but are covered with sticky cells that cling to prey like strands of spiderweb. Along their sides run bands of tiny cilia, which beat in coordination to move the animal and refract shimmering waves of light. They can also produce their own light, using special photocytes in their bodies to create bioluminescence, likely to lure prey closer. Other comb jellies don't extend tentacles to hunt at all. Instead, they use their cilia to create currents that draw prey directly into their mouths. In the twilight zone, bioluminescence is often used as camouflage, but in the midnight zone, light becomes a way for creatures to communicate in darkness. Take the female anglerfish, for example. She has a glowing lure on her head, a bioluminescent organ filled with symbiotic bacteria suspended at the end of a fleshy filament that extends from her back over her head. Because encounters between individuals are extremely rare in the deep sea, anglerfish have evolved an extreme reproductive strategy to maximize their chances of mating. They show dramatic sexual dimorphism. Males have no lure and are much smaller than females, but their eyes and nostrils are unusually large, allowing them to detect the female's pheromones. Once a male finds a female, he bites into her body with specialized teeth and permanently latches on. Their circulatory systems gradually fuse, and the male slowly degenerates into a small patch of tissue that survives entirely on the female's blood. In the deep sea, efficiency is key to survival. Every body structure and behavior is the result of evolution answering the challenges of life there. The size and shape of a fish often depend on the environment it inhabits. In the sunlit shallows, large predatory fish have long held dominance. Water is about 800 times denser than air and much more viscous, so movement is very costly. That's why their bodies must be as streamlined as possible. Tuna, for example, have a hard, torpedo-shaped body with a forked tail. This design greatly reduces drag, allowing them to migrate over 15,000 kilometers a year and reach speeds of up to 70 kilometers per hour. Reef fish, on the other hand, have laterally flattened bodies so they can weave quickly through tight coral crevices, sacrificing speed for agility. Fish that live on sandy seabeds are even flatter, almost pressed against the bottom to stay hidden. But in the midnight zone, there is little food and almost no rocks or seafloor structure to hide in. So two main body types have become dominant here. The first is the round, ball-shaped fish, like the anglerfish.
They don't rely much on swimming, but instead float and wait for prey to drift by. The second group includes long, slender, flexible fishes like snipe eels and other eel-like species. Their body form allows them to hang vertically in the water column, hiding their silhouette as they enter the dimmer layers above, reducing their chances of being spotted. At the same time, they can move forward by sending wave-like motions down the length of their body, a wave swimming that's both agile and highly energy efficient. The snipe eel is another eel-shaped fish, its body even thinner, like a slender thread. This is known as a filamentous body shape. Its jaws can bend up and down and outward, with a swallowing prey bigger than itself, or gulping down entire swarms of shrimp at once. Its lower jaw acts like a bag for temporarily storing prey, and its stomach can expand dramatically to digest that rare, massive meal. Compared to the silvery, shimmering fishes of the twilight zone above, most fish in the deep midwater are dark brown or even jet black. They have evolved a special trait called ultra-black skin. Their skin is packed with organelles full of pigment with such high concentrations of melanin that they reflect less than 0.5% of incoming light. This stands in stark contrast to fish of the twilight zone, which rely on silvery scales to reflect light and blend into their surroundings. If those reflective fish were to descend into the deep sea, their shine would backfire, making them easy to spot. In the midnight zone, being almost perfectly black is a major survival advantage. Consider the black dragonfish. Beneath its eyes are light-producing organs that emit red light, like a tiny underwater flashlight. In the deep, many red-colored animals are nearly invisible in ambient light, but under this red beam, they stand out clearly. Some dragonfish don't have ultra-black skin at all, but instead have a metallic coppery sheen. They dangle a glowing lure from their jaw, like a fishing line made of light, to entice prey to come closer. Viperfish have teeth so large and sharply curved backward that they can't fully close them inside their mouths, forming a natural cage. Once they bite down, prey has almost no chance of escape. These fangs are made of a special nanocrystal structure that allows light to pass through without scattering, making the teeth almost invisible to their prey. The hagfish is one of the oldest fish lineages, a distant relative of sharks that diverged around 200 million years ago. Along its flanks runs a sensory system called the lateral line, which detects subtle movements of the surrounding water, helping it sense the environment even in total darkness. For every 10 meters of depth, pressure increases by about 1 atmosphere. To adapt to the deep sea, fish have evolved stronger protein structures and softer, more flexible cell membranes to maintain normal bodily functions. For some soft-bodied animals, like octopuses, a soft, squishy body is all that is needed to tolerate the pressure while maintaining neutral buoyancy. Because water is essentially incompressible and their bodies are mostly water, this actually becomes an advantage in a high-pressure environment. For many cephalopods, including octopuses, a soft, gel-like body is the key to surviving deep-sea pressure. Water cannot be compressed, and since most of their body is water, they remain remarkably stable under crushing forces. Take the small Dumbo octopus, for example. It swims by gently flapping a pair of ear-like fins and uses its tentacles to steer with great agility, gliding gracefully through the deep. It can live at depths of up to 6,000 meters, making it the deepest dwelling octopus known so far. At that depth, the pressure is about 600 times that at the ocean's surface, equivalent to 50 Boeing 747s pressing down on you. Even though we think the deep sea environment is extremely harsh, for the creatures that live there, the truly dangerous place is the shallow ocean we are familiar with. They are perfectly adapted to darkness and high pressure, while the low pressure and high oxygen levels near the surface can actually be fatal to them. In the rich ecosystems of the deep sea, octopuses may be among the most mysterious creatures. They have strikingly unique forms, physiology, and behaviors, making them one of the rulers of this world. Each one looks like a ghost in motion, constantly pushing the limits of its body, developing unique ways to adapt to its surroundings. They come in countless species, with a huge variety of shapes and colors, and have evolved bizarre hunting strategies. For example, the blanket octopus. Its long hunting arms dangle like sticky flypaper, a posture known as the parachute or ambush pose. It quietly waits for prey to drift into the cloud of ink it releases. When it needs to leave, it retracts its arms and hides them inside a cape-like membrane. The strawberry squid has one large eye that looks upward to detect silhouettes of animals in the twilight zone above. During the day, it stays near the bottom of that zone, about 1,000 meters deep, using the last traces of fading light to search for prey. It also has a smaller eye that looks downward when it tilts its body, searching for glowing targets in the complete darkness below. This strange mismatched pair of eyes is extremely rare in bilaterally symmetrical animals, but in the strawberry squid, it is a vital adaptation that helps it survive in a food-poor and highly competitive environment. In the midnight zone, the hunting methods of squid and octopus are very different from those of their relatives in the twilight zone. In the upper mid-water, where prey is more abundant, the pace of hunting is faster. Many species hunt in groups, squirting ink to confuse prey and attacking schools of small fish. Among them, the largest is the Humboldt squid, which can shoot out tentacles lined with hooked suckers to grab lanternfish in an instant. Scenes like this play out every night in the twilight zone, triggered by just a slight change in light when the sun goes down. That shift in light sets off a massive vertical migration. Huge numbers of twilight zone fish swim up toward the surface under cover of darkness, providing a rich energy source for large predators like Humboldt squid. This is one of the key reasons they can sustain such intense hunting behavior. But in the deep midnight zone, the strategy must change. There are almost no large schools of prey here, but marine snow is constantly drifting down from the waters above. Marine snow is made up of the remains of organisms from upper layers, mixed with tiny organic particles. These tiny fragments form the base of the food chain near the seafloor. The vampire squid wears an orange cloak of skin. Despite its name, it doesn't drink blood. It is a specialist feeder on marine snow. It extends a thin, long filament coated with sticky mucus to collect sinking organic particles. It's adapted to an extreme environment that is not only low in food, but also severely lacking in oxygen. Its blood contains hemocyanin that is highly efficient at binding oxygen, making it one of the most oxygen-sensitive and efficient cephalopods known. Thanks to this, the vampire squid can live in some of the most oxygen-poor waters on Earth, reducing competition with other animals that eat the same resources. In the deep midnight realm, reproduction can be as challenging as finding food. A female black-eyed squid, for example, may carry over 2,000 eggs, all enclosed in a transparent egg case more than twice her own body length. She uses hooked-tipped arms to hold on to this egg mass for up to 9 months, eating nothing and never letting go. It is a one-time reproductive journey, full of risk. As the embryos develop, the mother grows weaker and weaker, and her muscles begin to waste away. Once she no longer has the strength to escape danger, she can easily become prey herself. Even so, she keeps on swimming, because she must continually move to flush oxygen-rich water over the eggs. If she survives those final months, her efforts will be rewarded. New life will leave her body and begin their own journeys into the deep. But out of thousands of hatchlings, how many will survive to adulthood and reproduce in turn remains an open question. Among the more than 700 known species of cephalopods, those that guard their eggs personally and carry them until they hatch, like the black-eyed squid, are extremely rare. At the very bottom of the deep-sea water column, we finally reach the meeting point of two worlds, the end of an invisible void and the beginning of solid structure, the deep-sea floor. Here lies a world sculpted by geological activity over millions of years. Mid-ocean ridges twist and branch, abyssal rifts cut across them, and underwater mountain ranges rise in layered tiers, covered in colorful corals and sponges that form city gardens in the deep. Beyond these ridges stretch endless abyssal plains. Animals move slowly across the sedimentary desert, leaving faint tracks